Some events come along and just change the landscape, not just for one fighter, but for the whole sport. And right now, the buzz in the MMA world is electric, because UFC 323 might just be that moment. This isn't your average fight night. This isn't a maybe. It's good pay-per-view. This is a card that feels historic. From the main event to the co-main. From the return of former champions to potential breakout stars, UFC 323 is shaping up to be one of the most stacked events of the decade. Today, we're breaking down everything. The main event, the undercard, the storylines, and what it all means for the UFC's future. The headliner, Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan to the main event. The rematch. The war that fans have been begging for. Merab Dvalishvili, the Messina. He doesn't just fight, he grinds. Endless pressure, tireless pace, and a 14-fight win streak that's turned him into a living nightmare for the bantamweight division. He's undefeated for years. Every fight looks like a marathon he refuses to lose. And then there's Petr Yan, former champion, ruthless striker, precise, technical, and dangerous from every angle. Yan isn't here to play defense. He's here for redemption. Their first fight ended in a storm of controversy and dominance from Merab. But Yan can't believe they've found the key to crack the machine. Now, they meet again at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on December 6, 2025 for UFC 323. And here's the historic part. No fighter in UFC history has ever defended the same title 4 times in a single calendar year. Dvalishvili has the chance to do it. This isn't just a rematch. It's a legacy fight. If Dvalishvili wins, he moves into the all-time conversation with names like GSP, Aldo, and Khabib. If Yan wins, he rewrites his story from fallen champion to comeback king. The co-main event, Pantoja versus Joshua Van. While the headliner grabs the spotlight, the co-main event might just steal the night. Alexandre Pantoja, the reigning flyweight champion, has been nothing short of phenomenal. His last few performances controlled chaos, mixing speed, submission threat, and endurance that breaks opponents down over rounds. Facing him, Joshua Van, young, explosive, hungry. Van's rise has been meteoric, quick finishes, violent intensity, and that rare combination of confidence and unpredictability. This is the biggest test of his life, and he knows it. The UFC loves passing the torch moments, and this could be one. If Van pulls it off, he becomes the youngest flyweight champion in history. If Pantoja retains, he solidifies himself as one of the most consistent champions of the modern era. And beyond that, there's buzz about Henry Cejudo making his return, either as a backup fighter or on the same card, setting up potential future storylines for 2026. The rest of the card stacked beyond belief, but UFC 323 isn't just about the top 2 fights. The undercard is shaping up to be a fan's dream. Rumors point to the return of Justin Gaethje, possibly facing Mateusz Gamrot in a lightweight war. We might see Sean Brady versus Vicente Luque, a grappler versus striker showdown that could headline any other night. And let's not forget, the veterans' whispers suggest Tony Ferguson might make one final walk, possibly against a rising contender like Paddy Pimblett, a passing of the torch, or a final blaze of glory. The UFC isn't just building an event, they're building a statement. It's not about selling pay-per-views anymore. It's about marking an era. Why this card matters. So, why is everyone calling UFC 323 historic? Because everything lines up perfectly. A dominant champion trying to make history. A fallen star seeking redemption. A flyweight phenom defending his throne. A rising challenger looking to shock the world. And multiple potential retirement and comeback stories. This card represents a generational shift. The old guard versus the new wave. And with the UFC preparing for a new broadcast era in 2026, UFC 323 feels like the final act of the current chapter. It's the event where legends can cement their status, and new names can explode into What's at stake? Let's talk about the ripple effect. If Dvalishvili wins, he becomes the first fighter in UFC history to defend the same belt 4 times in 1 year. His stock skyrockets. His pay-per-view draws grow, and suddenly, the bantamweight division becomes his kingdom. If Yan wins, he completes one of the best comeback arcs in UFC history. He regains gold, reopens rivalries, and sets up massive matchups with fighters like Sean O'Malley or Corey. If Pantoja wins, he solidifies his flyweight dynasty. If Vang wins, he becomes the UFC's next breakout global star. Every outcome opens a new door. Every result writes a new storyline. This is what makes UFC 323 must-watch. Possible obstacles, but let's keep it real. Nothing in MMA ever goes perfectly. Multiple moving parts, contract negotiations, medical clearances, timing can shift a card overnight. 2 title fights mean double the risk. Injuries, weight cuts, or even small scheduling issues can cause chaos. There's also business pressure. UFC's last few PPVs have been massive, and the LL1 UFC 323 to cap off the year with a record-breaking buy rate. Expect huge marketing, wild promo packages, and maybe even celebrity appearances. This event isn't just sport anymore, it's global entertainment. What it means for the future UFC 323 could change everything. If the card delivers, it could set a new standard for what fans expect from a PPV, the kind of night that's remembered years later, like UFC 189 or UFC 217. And beyond the fights, there's more at play. Rumors of a new UFC broadcast deal, a revamped Fight Pass platform, and a shift in PPV strategy could all launch in 2026. So UFC 323 isn't just about belts, it's about momentum. Why you should care even if you're not hardcore, maybe you're not a diehard fan. Maybe you don't know every fighter on the card. But this event, this is the one you show up for. Because UFC 323 has that mainstream energy. Big arena, big lights, global attention. Even casuals will tune in for Dvalishvili versus Yan 2, just like they did for McGregor fights or Khabib fights. It's the kind of night where every knockout, every walkout, every stare down feels like history in motion. And for creators, analysts, or fans, this card is goldmine content. Predictions, storylines, breakdowns. The hype alone will keep the community buzzing for weeks. So tere, itis. UFC 323, Dvalishvili versus Yan 2, the card that could redefine the modern UFC era. Double title fights, comeback stories, rising stars, and legacies on the line. December 6, 2025, Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena. 2 titles. One historic night. Whether you're a casual or hardcore fan, this is the event to circle on your calendar. If you want all the latest MMA updates, fight analysis, and future card breakdowns, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Because when history is about to be written, you don't want to miss the first chapter.